welcome to another episode of Tower Duos. So, before we really get started, I would like to say that this is the first episode of Season 2 officially. So, last week we did an episode just regarding the Pokemon Presents that happened. And, of course, we have Season 1, which the beginning of Season 1 is not on this channel. However, the ending of Season 1 is on this channel. So make sure you do go back and watch that if you are waiting for the next episodes of this season to come out. So with that announcement out of the way, we are going to be discussing how we think remakes should be based on what we already have from Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I can't talk today.
No, you're fine. But yeah, I can. So, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are really strong precedent for kind of what you can, I guess, look at in terms of what you can expect, I guess, because they're really similar to Diamond and Pearl in a lot of ways. So obviously, Ruby and Sapphire were formatted so that they were capped with Emerald, which was a remaster of both games. And also you've got Diamond and Pearl, which was capped with Platinum, which is a remaster of both games. And so the way that they were formatted originally is really very, very similar. So you can definitely look and see a lot of patterns between the two. And so today that's kind of what we want to do. We do know a few things about Diamond and Pearl, and we do know a few things about we know a lot of things about Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. So I don't know, we're just going to draw some parallels, maybe theorize a little bit, see if the trends are going to continue or if they're going to break. Who knows? So I don't know. You have any idea where we should start here?
Well, I think that the first thing that we should maybe talk about is how the Pokemon community and expectations of the Pokemon community have changed in between the original games and the remakes. And what I think really stands out to me is I would say that, when the original Ruby and Sapphire came out, Pokemon was still a growing thing. It was sort of in this period in between Red and Blue, which was hugely popular, and maybe sort of the 2D to 3D transition era, which it was in between those two. I would say that there's really maybe 4 eras of the Pokemon franchise. So we got the original era,
okay,
with the Game Boy era pretty much, and then we had
the first 2 games.
Then I don't know what to say. I guess just transition era, and then we have the they're kind of all transition. And then we have the 2D to 3D transition era, and then we have the modern era. And so I think that both the original Ruby and Sapphire and the original Diamond and Pearl fit into that, we'll say, middle era, even though it's not really appropriate. It's just, I don't have another name for it. Where it's not there's really long-term legacy players, but also not everyone is new to the franchise anymore. And so they're starting to learn how to balance that for the first time. They're also creating the modern battle mechanics. Generations 1 and 2 were very different. And then generations 3, 4, really brought a lot of current day fundamental features. Like, not like the little stuff like I hate to call Megas a small feature, but it's not even there anymore. Versus like double battles were added in Generation 3, and that's like the competitive format.
Yeah, no, you
Even
got
still,
double battles, you got held items, you
held
got
items, abilities.
like so many
Gen
new
3
things.
is really good. Gen 4, we got the physical special split, which is
And-
still a thing. The only thing of like comparable level of like relevance to Pokemon battling has been like the introduction of the fairy type.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, yeah.
And that was in the same generation that ORS came out, which is weird because that feels like a long time ago. But
Wow, yeah.
but ORS doesn't really feel like that long ago. I don't know. I
Yeah,
guess
I don't
that's
either.
just weird. What
Well,
it has been is getting longer in between, like, I want to say real remakes to exclude like Let's Go, because
yeah.
because what's happened is they tend to remake a generation in, give or take, double that generation. So Gen 3 was remade in Gen 6. Now that we're in Gen 8, they're remaking Gen 4. And so these gaps are going to get, well, no, the gaps are going to stay the same size, generally, because like well, they are going to increase because it's going to be every other generation gets a remake, and then the odd numbered generations are going to probably not get remakes if this pattern continues. So
Huh.
I don't
I
know.
guess.
And
But,
also
I
I
don't know,
feel
at
like,
the same time,
yeah,
like, what more, like, when they start getting to like when they start getting to like Gen 6, like, what can they
Yeah.
even do?
yeah. See,
Like,
that's
remake those sorts of games, you know?
that's the thing is, if we are thinking about like the long term future of the franchise, the point of remakes is so that there's like a better graphical version of whatever region, and B, so that a new generation of players can experience the games.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. Like, the graphics have ultimately gotten they've sort of plateaued in terms of quality, and like obviously, like, each new console is going to be more powerful than the previous one, but if we think about like the first the first serious Pokemon games on the Switch, were actually Sword and Shield, because the Let's Go games were in a different art style.
Yeah.
And if we think about that, and then we think about Ultra Sun and Moon, the last games on the previous console, like, okay, they bumped up the resolution by a lot, and they basically have been using the same models since X and Y. Obviously, there's new models, but
yeah, I mean, they do seem to be making them look like a little better in every generation, but I mean, that doesn't really change the fact that they're still
yes,
the exact same models.
yeah.
Yeah.
I am thinking like back in generations 1 and 2, the case could be made that they were trying to make things look as realistic as possible on that hardware.
Yeah.
And then if we think about generations 3 and 4, I still feel like they're trying to make things as realistic as possible, given the hardware. Then maybe generation 5 is where it sort of starts to change, and it's more stylized, because you can tell like the hardware is the same as generation 4. If they were trying to make it as realistic as possible, they would have, I feel like they would have changed things in a different way.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. I feel like
yeah.
Generation 5, like, given its hardware, like, they really
pushed that
Black
hardware.
and White, really pushed the DS to its limits, like, hardware wise. I feel like they did a really good job of making the game look nice. I don't know if that means where you're going with like realistic, but I think that those games, especially like on the hardware that they were
Yeah.
made for, like they look really good.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna revise my statement to push it down a generation. I think Gen 5 was still trying to be realistic, and then I feel like there was a transition, like generations 6 and 7 and now 8 have transitioned to this different art style. And it's sort of capped out. It's like main series Pokemon games are as realistic as the people that design them want them to be. And of course there is Legends Arceus, but not even that has like the graphics of something that is considered like a cutting edge game. And so
no, you're definitely right about that.
that's
But
that's
I don't know.
definitely something that's gone on.
Yeah, the thing with that game is like, and I guess the Diamond and Pearl remakes too, is that we've seen in the trailers like they're constantly updating the graphics, so we can't really make a judgment on that sort of thing yet. Like I don't know what Legends Arceus is going to look like when the actual game gets released. But I don't know. Yeah, the environments could definitely use a lot of polishing up, but they've made a lot of improvements since the first trailer.
Yeah, it's definitely so much better. The first trailer was pretty bad, but and people took it seriously, and people were like, "That's what the game's gonna look like. That's terrible." And now people are like, "Oh, I guess they're gonna be all right."
Well, but at the same time, though, they were saying that about Sword and Shield, and then Sword and Shield actually looked that bad. So
That is true. The things were not fixed with Sword
Yeah.
and Shield.
So I mean, you can't really fault them for thinking that. I don't know.
Yes. So in terms of the other big reason that people expect remakes, or that they have been doing remakes, is that it's to get the new players to experience previous regions. Now, my thinking with this is sort of like after a certain amount of time goes by, like I would say 2 generations, that a region is like just another region. So like you get like there's sort of like we care about like bookends. So like Kanto is the first region, Galar is the most recent, Alola is the second most recent. Now I feel like even the Alola region is starting to just be another region. And that's sort of just based on like how much time it's been. So I think that once you do that, you can maybe like shuffle around the order. Like you don't necessarily have to go in the same order that the original games came out. Like obviously you don't want to repeat something like 2 times in a row, but like instead of going forward to make, I'm just gonna say like Black and White 3, like next game, like a couple of games from now, like you go back to Johto, and that's kind of what they've already done with the Let's Go games.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that happening. Like that's not a far cry at all.
Yeah. And then they just kind of go in a random order, and and by the time something like comes around again, it's like ready to come up again, and that way the gaps don't get longer and longer and whatever. I think a really good analogy for this is how Disney has the vault, or for a long time they had the vault, and basically what it would be is before home video, and like before most people had TVs, they would re-release their movies in the theater like once every like 7 to 10 years, something like that.
Oh wow.
And the point of that was let's say Snow White, for example, came out in 1937. If you were born in 1956 and you want to watch it, then the only way, like when someone born around that time would have been growing up, like the only way to watch it would have been in the theater because VHS wasn't invented yet, and
Yeah.
and not everyone had a TV.
Yeah,
'Cause
no, and
TVs
I
are
see what you
expensive.
mean.
So, and then when VHS did come out, and then eventually, of course, DVDs, there wasn't really a way to prevent people from just having like the one that came out from like when it originally came out. But what they did do is they would stop selling them new for like roughly that same period of time. So that they'd put it like they'd sell it new for a while and then stop selling it new for like 7 to 10 years. And I feel like that could maybe happen with Pokemon, like the Pokemon Vault. Like like in the future, be like, a game from this region just, you know, let's say Diamond and Pearl, because that's the upcoming one. Because people will be like, it's been since 2021 since since the Sinnoh game came out, so maybe it's time for that again, and like somewhere down the line where it won't necessarily be like have to wait its turn to go through all of the other regions, because the thing with waiting its turn is it will never get another turn if you think about it. Because they'll just keep remaking the next generation and then the one after that at half the speed
Kanto.
and Kanto every other time. Yep, that's probably not too far off. And also making up one-off regions for side games. That'll be another thing that happens.
Yeah, I wonder if that's going to turn into a trend. Who knows?
I don't know. I kind of already feel like it's a long-term trend because back in like the Coliseum games, like they made up a region for that. And
I see what you mean. I thought you meant like only with like Legends Arceus, like that would be like a side game. But
I mean, I guess it is a side game, but you mean like they make more Legends game? They make Legends Mew and they give Kanto an old name. They make like that.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
I think that is distinctly possible. Although then all that would be is like it's not a different region, it's just a new name for an old region. Which would make sense.
True.
I think it'd be interesting if like each Legends game in the future was like set a different amount of time in the past. But
that would be interesting.
But with the caveat that of course it can't be set so long ago that there's like no way to like have Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
So
imagine it's just a Pokemon game, but you can't catch anything. You're just running around, just beating things up.
It's a Pokemon hunting game.
My gosh, that would be so funny. Oh man. But anyway, we should probably get back. To the main topic, which is just like BDSP and ORS. So I kind of wanted to break some things down. Let's talk about. So we talked about the trailer last week. Let's go over a few of those things and see, where they landed in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. So like. One of the things that we saw in the trailer is that you're going to be able to customize your outfit, which is something that you couldn't do in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. So already that's like, that's something that the past game, which has been, glorified a lot, doesn't have on BDSP, which could mean that maybe BDSP is going to do even more of those sorts of things. So, I don't know, there's that, and then, I don't know, what's another thing that was in the trailer?
Secret bases and underground. What's great about that is secret bases started in Hoenn. That was the first
Yeah.
time that you could do that.
Yeah, true. And those got remastered too, right?
I believe, yes, they are called super secret bases in ORS.
Oh man.
And yeah, there are a lot of decorations
Yeah.
that you can put.
Okay, so I don't know. Let's talk about, so in the Grand Underground, you probably know there's a lot of those tunnels that you can go down and catch Pokemon that are kind of hard to find and that sort of thing, depending on what's in your base. So that's making like a tangible change to, you know, I guess you could say like the features, I guess, like it's adding a brand new feature into the game.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely falls under features. The thing that I was gonna say is follow Pokemon. Follow Pokemon went away for a very long time.
Yeah.
They were in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and then they weren't there again until like recent games.
Until Let's Go.
Yep. Yeah, until Let's Go. And that is something that I feel like is really cool because it adds a very good layer of realism, and I feel like it's definitely a lot of work. You know, they have to have like an additional animated sprite for every single Pokemon, but I feel like knowing that they're putting that much effort into it, you know, they could have very easily not had walking Pokemon, with the justification being it wasn't in the originals. The fact that they're doing that gives me hope. It's like, okay, they're putting a lot of effort into these. As we mentioned, there is already like features that weren't in any of the originals. I don't think there's gonna be Gigantamaxing, Dynamaxing, but I could be wrong.
I don't know. It wouldn't make sense.
I don't see any place where it would make sense.
Yeah.
I think that the alternative is like they sort of transition from like just like the regular like Dynamax Wells to the like the infinite Dynamax Cave that I'm forgetting the name of, but
the Max Raid Den.
Yes, Max Raid Den. And now I feel like they're just like adding those things into the underground. Or at least a comparable experience into the underground, because the underground was already a thing, so they're like, oh, let's just incorporate like those things into it.
So you're saying they would add something similar to the Max Raid Den to the underground?
No, I just think that it's like the equivalent feature.
Okay, like what we saw in the trailers.
Yes.
Okay.
It's also like similar to the wild area too, because of like overworld Pokemon.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, they do walk around down there.
Yep.
That is interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's gonna impact like when you get access to it. It's pretty similar. It is pretty similar to the wild area, just in that aspect of like
that's a really good point. Huh.
There's like different things to do, and there's like different types of terrain. I wonder if the weather's gonna change like the wild area. Something's telling me no, that a thing's gonna be like a fixed spot.
Underground. I don't think the weather can change much. But okay, so we definitely talked at length about a lot of those features. So what were some of the things that Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire did that weren't in, you know, the original games for those generations? Like, obviously, they added, you know, bottom screen capability. I forget what it was called, but I remember you could use it to, like, you know, search for Pokemon that were in
player search service
specific area. Wait, what?
Player search service? Or are you talking like search for Pokemon?
Yeah, I'm not positive. Okay. I don't know. I never played the games. Like I myself have never played Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, so I'm not all that informed on them. But I did watch like that a lot of you have probably seen, heard about this or something. But like, I did watch the entire like 9-hour YouTube video that was like an exhaustive review on Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. So I definitely know a lot more about the games than I probably should.
Okay. So one thing that I feel is important to notice is that there's like one notable deletion that got a lot of attention and one notable addition that got a lot of attention.
Yeah.
We'll start with the addition because it's better. So that was you get the Eon Duo depending on which version you're playing. You get either Latios or Latias pretty early on, and then you can eventually fly around on them and use like all the 3D features.
Yeah.
Because
I thought you were gonna say something very different.
Oh.
But I mean, yeah, I thought you were gonna bring up the Delta episode.
Yeah. The thing is, what happened is that's I don't really know too much about that because I basically like completed the game and then basically didn't do anything else.
Oh,
like
okay.
I just started up the game recently, and I was literally in my room. I went down the stairs, and like and like my players' parents said like congratulations on beating the game. I was like, oh, I literally hadn't done anything because I was just trying to check it off. Check it off
That's
the
really
checklist. But yeah, that is definitely a thing. Obviously, Megas, because that was the era of Megas.
Mm-hmm.
And the big deletion that I wanted to talk about was I'm pretty sure it's just called the Battle Frontier in yeah, Battle Frontier. Yeah. It's not there. It's actually under construction. So apparently they started with it, but it worked back then, and now it's being reconstructed, I guess.
Yeah. And okay, I've definitely I've seen a lot of stuff about this specifically, so I can definitely talk a while about what happened with that. So if you basically don't know anything about Pokemon, first off, I don't know how the heck you made it this far in the video, but in Ruby and Sapphire, there was this building in the post game called the Battle Tower. And so you went there and you could battle and you could get on winning streaks, and it was great. But in Emerald, they got rid of the Battle Tower, and instead they turned the island with the Battle Tower into the Battle Frontier. And this way, there were 5 different facilities, and you could battle with different gimmicks. So you could battle in like a survival type of thing where you don't heal in between battles. So your team, you have to regulate your PP and your health and basically not make any mistakes. Or you can do, I know like the Battle Pyramid, you can do that instead. I didn't play much of this when I didn't play through much of the Battle Frontier in Emerald. Because I was like 8 and I was playing on an emulator when I played through the game for the first time. So I didn't do much of it. But there's definitely there were so many features and everything. And so a lot of people, played through the Battle Frontier and really, really liked it and were expecting it to be, packaged in with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire since the only precedent that they had then was with Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and that brought in a lot of those kinds of features. And so they didn't get a Battle Frontier, and instead it was just under construction. But they didn't get the Battle Tower either. Instead, they got, I think, the Battle Mason is what it's called. And it's basically exactly like the Battle Tower, except it's, themed, I guess.
Yeah, because they have to keep
it
rebranding.
Functions almost exactly the same, yeah. So when an interviewer asks, I think Masuda, what his reasoning for keeping the Battle Frontier out of the game was, he told them that it was because people in this day and age aren't really as interested at investing that much time into a single game. And so he said that it would be a waste of development time because not many people would get much use out of it.
So I'm wondering if maybe like they saw the backlash from that and they realized that it was a mistake, or if they stand by their word and they're not going to include it. So that is something that we have yet to see definitively whether it is going to be in there or not. My bets are not.
Yeah.
Because
yeah, it's definitely shaping up to not be there. I will agree with you. And at the same time, we haven't seen any post game in any of the trailers, which makes sense. True. They don't really want to reveal that to people who have never played through the games before.
Yeah, that is.
They didn't even reveal that Cynthia was the champion. I think we talked about that last time.
Yes, that is one thing that I think that they are trying to keep in mind, is that all of the people who have joined the franchise since Diamond and Pearl and just have not played the originals and for whatever reason just don't know what goes down in those games, which I think is definitely a lot of people. And so that's something to think about. The other thing that I want to think about is this is sort of like a remakes thing that goes all the way back to, if you consider Gold and Silver, the original Gold and Silver, to be remakes of Kanto because Kanto is in those games, is the region itself is a little bit different. And so when we're talking specifically about Hoenn, we're talking about Mauville and Sea Mauville. And of course, basically the one thing that is like always sort of there is like they changed the like place where you can gamble to something else where you can't gamble. In this case, it was just closed.
Yeah.
It was just closed, abandoned. But the main thing is like the entire city was pretty much just indoors, and it's definitely interesting that the whole thing is indoors. I definitely can tell there's more things. So that does create a little bit of a contradiction because if they had the time to completely rework Mauville in Watson's image, because I'm pretty sure that he's like also the mayor.
Oh yeah, wow.
And they had time to do that, but they couldn't finish any sort of battle facility. And it's like, So what exactly is going on?
Interesting, huh?
Yeah. So that is something to look for. Not just in terms of comparing it to Legends Arceus, because obviously the Hisui region is going to be a lot less developed than modern Sinnoh. But what other changes have happened? I don't want to say in the future compared to the original Diamond and Pearl, because obviously like the player characters are the same, so and all of the major characters are the same. So I don't think that it's set like however many years the Pokemon world has advanced since then. Like there's like a gap for Gen 5.
Oh yeah, no.
And then
I don't think so either.
The Mega timeline. See, back when Megas were the only like mechanic like that, they thought that it was like just 2 timelines. Now there's like a split into like at least 4. Because you have your
oh boy.
Because there's non-Mega and then there's like non-Gigantamax, and then there's like yes with both, and then there's also
no, there is no non-Gigantamax. Gigantamax is confined to Galar. It happens nowhere else. Like you can only Dynamax if you have your little wishing star thing on your band.
So they say.
And you also need the Dynamax particles.
So they say.
So in no other place other than Galar do both of those things happen.
That we know of.
Therefore, a timeline can exist where both Dynamax and I don't know, not Megas happen.
Okay, so then it's still, but there's still the case where there would still be at least four because there's non-mega and mega to consider,
uh,
and then um, there's also let's go mechanics and traditional mechanics, which I feel like would need to be a different universe.
I mean, I just don't think Let's Go isn't canon,
Yeah,
so I just don't think it exists. Like people just ignore
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Like I sometimes try to. Um,
Yeah.
I think, but I think that what we consider like a different timeline is the anime another timeline, or are we also gonna say that's not canon?
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's definitely something to think about. I don't know, because there is like I don't know. I've watched a lot of Journeys, and
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely a lot of parallels with the actual world in the games. I don't like obviously like in the first season, a lot of these parallels weren't there. But now in Journeys, it's like you can notice like each Pokemon only knows four moves. Like they will never use any more than four. Like even Ash's Pikachu has only. I mean, I only remember him using four moves. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But I'm pretty sure he only knows four, and I can't think of anyone else that I remember using more than that. But I don't know. And there's a lot of other things like that too. Like actually needing to heal your Pokemon for them to not be fainted anymore, that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm not sure
I do
if that would
I
be
do
canon.
think that in any franchise, the highest form of canon is whatever the original media was. So in Pokemon's case, it started as a video game, so the video games are the highest form of canon.
Yeah.
And then below that would be like other stuff like side games and the anime. Um,
Hmm.
this comes up a lot in discussions about stuff like Harry Potter, where the books are the highest canon and the movies are below that, even though the movies are
Yeah.
more popular.
Yeah, no,
And
you're right.
that's just something that is like okay, I
Mhm.
I understand that, and that is the precedent that has been set with other things. So I think Pokemon should definitely follow the same standard.
Hmm. Yeah. But then at the same time, like I don't know, I know a lot of like animes, they all come from
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
guess
they all come from
manga.
mangas.
Yeah.
A lot of them do. A lot of those mangas though come from light novels, potentially, and a lot of those come from like old Japanese legends. So
Mm.
so way to draw the line is up to you because like you can have like the Lion King and like Hamlet, and it's like
Yeah.
mm,
Hmm.
so
Yeah,
maybe it
very
comes
nice.
down to like who the publisher is, like all these old stories have like a singular author, it seems like, and then after that there'll be like a modern day company. So I think it's like what counts as the original author. But anyhow, that gets into like the details of like copyrights and like stuff like that. So it's not something that we should be spending a lot of time talking about.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess bringing us back to the main topic. So, let's think about. So we know that there was a lot of material in Platinum that wasn't in Diamond and Pearl, and obviously one of which was the Battle Frontier. But here's another one. In Platinum, instead of catching Dialga or Palkia at the top of Spear Pillar, instead you actually go through the Distortion world and catch Giratina at the end. And obviously, it's Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, so you have to catch Dialga or Palkia there. But what does that mean for Giratina? Does that mean you're gonna meet? Are you just gonna go meet him at Turnback Cave, like you do in Diamond and Pearl, or are you gonna go back through the Distortion world?
I suspect that Giratina is just going to be just a post game somewhere. I don't think it's going to be part of the story.
Yeah, but like even if it's just post game though, like so, what if they do something akin to the Delta episode, which obviously we have precedent for, and
Yes.
just turn basically rewrite Giratina's story and say like, oh no, Cyrus is back up to no good, and now he's trying to get Giratina. You've got to go stop him.
I think that would definitely be compelling. I think that would definitely be plausible.
Mhm.
And the only thing is like I feel like these games really have to prove themselves because we don't have a lot of information. For as close as we are to the release of these games, we've had
Yeah.
2 trailers, and that's basically it. There's like one screenshot
pretty
one
much.
time in a not even Pokemon event, and that's where things stand. And I think that the lack of information means that the potential range of how good or bad these games could be is very wide.
Yeah. No,
And we
you're
have to
right.
keep that in
And
mind.
I don't know, but if you ask me, I can see them. I feel like they are going to bring back the distortion world just because of all the like they showed us that they're capable of not just remaking Diamond and Pearl and calling it a day. In that last trailer, they showed us, hey, we're giving you follow Pokemon. We're giving you this brand new feature in the underground. We're letting you, change your outfit. And so I really think that they're going to do more than just those 3 things.
Yes, I mean, what a novel idea, not needing to wear the same clothes for the entirety of your journey. Now, if you're doing a speedrun, it's not too bad. If you're doing just a casual playthrough, I don't know how long casual playthrough is supposed to take, like in universe, but that's a long time to be wearing the same clothes.
It's definitely over several days is supposed to take at the very least.
That is true.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what a casual playthrough takes, over several days at the very least.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, but I don't know. Basically what I'm saying though is I personally think that they are going to bring back the distortion world. Does that mean that they're going to bring back the distortion world? I don't know, but I think that because the Delta episode exists, they can't just follow it up with nothing, Like, yeah, they can follow up No Battle Frontier with No Battle Frontier. But I don't think they can follow up the Delta episode with nothing.
Could they follow up a non-Battle Frontier with a Battle Frontier, but in exchange follow up the Delta episode with a nothing?
I would be overjoyed if they did that.
Like, what if they're just like rotating which thing gets to be remade? Like last time they were like, all right, we need to redesign the special 3rd legendary encounter, but we don't need to redo the battle facility. And then this time up on the roster is the battle facility, and they're like, all right, we're gonna make the best battle facility that's ever been made. Which is why the one in Yeller had to be so terrible. And
Yep.
see, that's the thing. It's like they said back then that people don't really have like what it takes to like do a battle facility, and then they continue to make them.
Yeah, well, I mean, they continue to put in the least work possible.
That is true. Yeah, so I don't think it's going to be excellent by any means, because I think the days of excellent post-game battle facilities is over. I think they want people to be battling online.
Yeah.
And,
and I mean, they do put a lot of work into online battles, but
yeah,
I don't know. Like, the thing with a battle facility versus post-game content is, so let's take the post-game of Sword and Shield, and not like the DLC, like the actual post-game.
Yeah.
So you beat the game, you go to get your Zacian or your Zamazenta. You meet these guys, they say no, and then they take your stuff, and then you like just battle some Gigantamax Pokemon, and then You battle them, and then you get your legendary Pokemon, and it takes like an hour.
Yeah, I do
So
think that
you get an hour of extra content, and it's like, I don't know. I don't really understand why that matters very much, especially when you compare it to something that'll take, a lot more of your time than that, like the Battle Frontier would.
yeah, I think that having that additional story after you become the champion was a really good move. I feel like that was something that I really enjoyed. Where it's like,
Oh yeah,
oh, by the way, you're not done when you beat the champion, because I think that Galar more than any other region emphasizes it, like, yeah, the league may or may not be the most honorable thing to succeed at because of the way that it was run for the vast majority of the time while you were doing it.
yeah,
And I think that that is definitely something that's interesting, that I think Pokemon needs to do more of, like, that type of thing, more of like a Gen 5 type of thing, where there's a lot of conflicting ideas and you have to actually think about what you do and don't support. Like we talked about at one point, is like what our ideal Pokemon games would be, and we said that that one where you like have to choose between like the good but not really side and the bad but not really side, um,
yeah,
would be something that's very interesting. And maybe
yeah.
they're,
Okay,
yeah,
I follow you. Like, I guess I kind of misspoke. Like, I didn't mean to say like, oh yeah, post game content like is irrelevant and they should devote their resources to something else. That's not really what I meant. Like, I do think that post game content is really good, and it definitely should exist. Like, you shouldn't just beat the champion and then it be like, okay, now you just do the Battle Frontier and that's it. Like, I definitely like hurdles, like, you know, you beat the champion, but you still have to beat Red, or you beat the champion, but you still have all these legendaries to go out to catch and all these routes to explore.
yeah, or like Team
Um,
Rainbow Rocket, like how they did in the Ultra Sun and Moon games. That was
yeah,
cool. That is definitely something that is interesting. I think that what's also sort of taking the place of really good battle facilities is just online content generally. The Game Boy
yeah,
Advance cannot connect to the internet. I mean, maybe it
mm,
can with some crazy mod that they have nowadays, but in its stock regular configuration, it cannot connect to the internet. And so and with each generation that goes by, there's more internet functionality. It's more expected, and it's more integrated.
yeah, yeah. Like, I don't know. The only thing with that though is like the experience of going online with the team that you put together and playing real people is very different from those at a battle facility
That is
because
true. Yes,
like
because you can always Google Battle Frontier Brain such and such team, and prepare for it, and
well,
prepare
yeah,
for like all the
and not
trainers.
only that, like people like the battle this people like the battle frontier because it puts different spins on just regular battling, but all you can do online is just regular battling, so it's really similar to what you can already do in the battle tower,
Although to be fair, with the online battles, the rules are agreed to. Like every single match has custom rules, and it's different. You can choose whether you're gonna do singles, or if you're gonna do doubles, and you can
yeah.
choose whether to set certain restrictions. There are certain restrictions that are there all the time.
Well,
I
okay,
think
but
unless you turn
I mean, you
turn
can
them
do
off.
that in local play, like
Yes.
set those kinds of restrictions and stuff. But if you're just playing online with somebody that you don't know, like you have to do the competitive rules. And yeah, you can pick between singles and doubles, obviously, but
Oh,
and you can do that in the battle tower too.
yes. Isn't there like a like there's the other choice that you get to make? Okay, I
Oh
guess I
yeah,
didn't realize that you didn't make all those choices, but I was saying like, isn't the other choice that you get to make is like whether you play like ranked or unranked?
yeah, yeah. There was like I don't know. There definitely was like ranked mode and casual mode. I do
Yes.
remember that. I
Yes.
don't know. I didn't really
play
experiment
online.
much with online Sword and Shield, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. I never really got into competitive team building, but I did into battle tower team building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I have yet to do either of those really. So I don't know. Maybe one day I'll be into it. The other
Yeah,
thing,
I mean, I don't know.
yeah, the other thing that I want
Uh-huh.
to think about is cameos, because that
Oh yeah.
seems to be like a thing like from like more recent generations, where they just put random cameos in the game. I feel like that's something to look out for.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, what cameos were in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire?
Well, by that point, it was well established. Like the character of Looker was well established. There's a theory
Yeah.
that he's even in Generation 1, but just isn't called that yet. But like back in the originals, it wasn't very well established. I'm trying to look up. Mostly, what I was talking about is it's actually not sort of in Owen actually, but it's how Jasmine shows up.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, actually, there's a few cameos in Diamond and Pearl. You can find Jasmine in Sunny Shore City. She actually gives you the HM for Waterfall, but she also enters contests, and you can like face off with her that way, which is really funny. And then there's Professor Oak, who will show up in the post game, give you the National Pokedex. I think that might be it for cameos in Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah, so it's not exactly like all the time. Like there's not a ton of them, but seeing as it was definitely a thing in Diamond and Pearl, like they could obviously change them to they could, not that Leon is the greatest champion ever, but they could bring in Leon if they wanted to, and so this is something that we need to think about, and something that we need to definitely be aware of, like as these games are like coming out, and like as people get to like the early access reviews and stuff like that, we need to look out for that, because that's the kind of thing that may or may not be immediately obvious. So it's definitely something where it's like, we need to ultimately just wait and know what is going to be in the games. We can't know everything, and we shouldn't know everything. It's really boring when for example, like in the tech space, when Apple has a keynote coming up and people will predict the exact thing, so they either have a leak or they just figure it out, and they're like, so at this event the iPhone whatever next number is going to come out, and it's going to have this many cameras, and it's going to be able to do this and that, and it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then I watch the event, and I'm like, oh, I already knew that. Oh, I already knew that. Oh, I already knew that.
Yeah, no, I don't really like listening to leaks either for that reason.
Yeah, I do, but I just assume that every single one of them is fake.
Huh.
Because they will contradict each other.
Yeah.
And
no, you're right. Most of them are wrong.
Yeah, most of them are wrong, and so no matter how reputable a YouTuber will say that a leak is, I'll just assume that it is actually fake, and then what it is I'm being surprised by which one was right.
Yeah.
So maybe
I guess so, like,
that's something
that
that
one
can
was right. What
yeah.
the heck?
And maybe that's something that can be applied to Pokemon. I definitely did that with the Sword and Shield reveal cycle. I was like, which leak is going to be right? And that was sort of a fun game to play.
Yeah, no, I don't know. For me, I'm just kind of kind of laying low, not really staying in the loop of info, just watching the trailers, not really listening to much what people have to say about the games. Because I don't know, I don't really want to get spoiled on it, and I definitely want to form my own opinions about the games instead of just getting influenced by other people's.
That is true.
So that I can influence you with my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there's a lot of, we'll say, manufactured consent, or like just like someone somewhere decides that they feel really strongly a certain way, usually negatively, and that's what spreads on the internet. It's sort of like just like the internet, like news cycle in general. Like the bad news is what everyone hears about, and the good news just sort of goes under the radar, and that's true to an extent with Pokemon. So I definitely feel like that's gonna be a thing. There's going to be one big thing that everyone complains about, and that ultimately at the end of the day isn't that big of a deal. And then there's going to be the one thing that nobody was expecting, that everyone talks about for the first week after the games come out, and then it will just be a thing that is there. And I think that is ultimately the reality of these upcoming games, no matter what there is, no matter what there isn't. Because we already know of at least a couple of things that there will and won't be. So
yeah, well, okay, we can't really say anything about what there won't be, though.
That's true, because they just could have just not showed it yet.
Yeah.
So that is definitely a distinct possibility. But there will be things that there won't be, obviously, and we just have to wait. So ultimately, we can't really pass our judgment on these games, seeing as they haven't come out yet. So I think that sort of wraps things up for today. Connor, do you have any last thoughts?
Well, I mean, like I said, I think that they are going to do a lot more than what they're going to show in the trailers. So, just because it's not in the trailer, don't expect it to be there. Don't give up hope on the Battle Frontier. It's probably not going to happen, but there is a chance that it will.
They could make a terrible one.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. We might see Looker in the game. We might see the galactic scientist named Sharon in the game. I don't know. Let's just hope that the games will go down in history as better than Platinum.
Yeah, I guess we do just have to hope that these games are very good. Well, as you know, we ourselves come from 2 remakes ago. So what do we really know?
Yeah.
So it'll definitely be an experience. As to whether it's a good experience or as to whether it could be a terrible experience, only time will tell. In the meantime, though, we will see you next week. Tower Duo out.